All right, here we are in the mountains of southern Oregon. The whole area is basically volcanic. I'm at about 5,000 feet elevation right now. You know, northern Nevada, northeast California, southeastern Oregon, Idaho, etc. The whole goddamn area is volcanic. You got three different things going on. Okay, to the west you got the Gorda Plate subducting beneath the North American Plate. You also have crustal expansion going on in the Basin and Range province. That is, Salt Lake and Reno are moving away from each other, and the crust is thinning right there. It's a whole other can of worms to get into right there. That's why you got those north and south trending mountain ranges that look like a line of caterpillars moving to Mexico. That's basically the Basin and Range fault system. And you also got the Yellowstone caldera a little bit farther away to the east. But, of course, it wasn't always there. It was at one point beneath northeastern Oregon, southern Idaho. So, and that's just hotspot volcanism. That's not due to subduction or anything like that. It's just hotspot volcanism. Same thing as what's going on with Hawaii. Hotspot volcanism is kind of an anomaly, and that's what leads to the massive supervolcanoes. So, anyway, you know, with the subduction zones, you get more of that intermediate to high silica magma, which is what all that white stuff is. It looks just more like ash, you know, high silica ash. And you can see it's capped up there by a layer of basalt. Basalt generally tends to be darker. It's a more iron-rich and lower in silica kind of magma. So we are in a high desert, you know. What you got going on in terms of plant life is just a handful of shrubby perennials in the Asteraceae and Amaranthaceae family. Also, the family formerly known as Chenopodiaceae is now lumped into Amaranthaceae due to molecular phylogenetics. Here you got Tetradymia, wonderful genus in Asteraceae, as you can tell by those disc florets. You can see right there. You can see the pappus on that achene right there, aka the pappus is just another word for the dandelion fuzz on a sunflower family seed. Not all of them have it, but a lot of them do. And, of course, it's meant to aid in dispersal. You could just think of it as like a modified calyx. So you got all them little flowers and shit, you know. Tetradymia is a pretty wonderful genus, like I said. Quite a few species in it adapted to xeric areas. You also have Artemisia tridentata, Great Basin sagebrush going on right there. Graya spinosa, it's in the Amaranthaceae. A lot of those Amaranthaceae are really adapted to this what tends to be alkali, very salty soil. You can see right down there, it's a bunch of basaltic magma. Remember, basalt again is generally darker, not always, but generally, whereas the rhyolitic and andesitic magma tends to be a lighter color. But the good thing about a lot of that rhyolitic ash is when it blows up and it lands, when it's explosively shot out of a volcano and it lands, it tends to cover whatever it lands on. You know, say it was an ancient redwood forest that used to be there 10 million years ago, and that high silica, the silica in it basically percolates down through the ground once everything is settled, okay, and calmed down, percolates down through the ground and does something called permineralization, which is where it goes into the individual cells of the living organic material that was there and petrifies it. And that's why you get something like this petrified wood, which is almost certainly a member of the redwood family. There were redwoods growing throughout this entire area roughly 12 million years ago. The climate was obviously a lot different back then. The Sierra Nevadas down there to the south, those mountains hadn't come up yet. The Sierra Nevada mountain range had not been uplifted yet, and it had not created that rain shadow to the east. There was a species called Sequoiadendron cheneyi. Sequoiadendron, of course, is a species of giant sequoia, and it was named after Cheneyi, a famous paleobotanist. The flora here looked a lot different. It obviously wasn't as dry, and it just had an entire different biome going on. So anyway, I first found this spot a couple years ago. Was out fucking around looking at plants. I was here in the spring. A lot of stuff was still blooming. Very beautiful. And I found all this and said, you know, that looks like a stump sticking out the ground. And sure enough, it was. All those things sticking out of this muddy hillside, which is just basically volcanic mud, are petrified redwood stumps. This has not even been fully promineralized yet. You can still see individual fibers on that wood. It's pretty odd. It's pretty odd. So this is basically, you know, no idea on the age of this. I mean, I have an idea. It's probably, you know, it's Miocene or later. So it's, you know, roughly 20 million years or younger. But I mean, just look at that. It's just, I mean, it's like powder, you know. But then, of course, you crush it up and it's all silica. It's all rock. So it hasn't been fully lithified. It's not completely hardened off yet. Let me show you something over here. This is something pretty interesting. So anyway, there you go. There's a massive, roughly, I'd estimate 10 million year old redwood stump just sticking out the ground. Real nice. Now, I don't know if it's perfectly a redwood stump, but the form, the way the knots occur in a tree, and the curvature, that see, it's got that mild buttressing down there at the wider end. It does, you know, look remarkably like a plant in the Cupressaceae family, which of course is Western Arborvitae, Alaska cedar, which isn't a true cedar, of course. Remember, there are no true cedars native to North America, and of course Sequoia and Sequoiadendron are in that family too. And like I was saying before, I found fossils of a Sequoiadendron cheneyi down there east of Sparks, and the same volcanic ash flow tuff thing going on, you know. It's basically a sedimentary rock formed by where I found this Sequoiadendron cheneyi fossil. It's basically a sedimentary rock formed by volcanic ash, and it preserves the carbon intact gracefully. Hey, you get a money shot up here. Anyway, so that's that. And I think in the surrounding area, you know, I don't know what's going on. They got some claims, petrified wood claims, so Grandpa can come out here and, you know, or so someone can come out here and get a bunch of this stuff and put it on eBay, you know, to sell to some kid. I don't know what it's for, you know. You always got to find a way to monetize something. Can't just enjoy it for what it is. Fucking assholes. And I mean, this stuff is just everywhere. I would love to find some fossil cones or leaves to get a clear picture of what species this is, but yeah, I don't know. You need kind of a different geologic setup to get impressions like that, whereas the logs get promineralized pretty perfectly. I guess you could find some cones if there's cones around. I don't know, we'll see. So anyway, now to find out what type of species that stump sticking out the ground is. Like I said, I'm guessing it's going to be a species of redwood. The wood looks like a redwood. The overall form of the tree looks like a redwood. Like I said, it's got that buttress trunks. It's got the curvature. It doesn't look like a pine, which is the only thing it could be. Some in the pine family or some in the redwood family. It's obviously a conifer. What you need, and what I'm looking at up there, is some exposure, some areas where this volcanic ash settled and formed little platelets like this, like a volcanic rock. You can see there's little bits of organic debris and what the shit in there, but nothing solid, nothing determinate, you know? And that's what's going on up there. That's why it looks like it's basically a bedding plane of volcanic ash. So like I said again, there can be sedimentary rocks formed out of volcanic ash. So the only type of rock you ever get fossils in is sedimentary, or sedimentary rock that's been metamorphosed. Remember, you got igneous rock, metamorphic rock, sedimentary rock. Those are the three basic rock types. Okay, just a quick banger intro for anybody who doesn't know what the shit I'm talking about. All right, but you can have sedimentary rock that's composed of volcanic ash, which, like I said, is the exact same type of exposure that I found that Sequoiadendron cheneyi fossil. And I put a pic of one of those up on the Instagram a year ago. I found it last June. And that was by looking at some of the work that David Axelrod had done. It was a pioneering paleobotanist. David Axelrod, Ralph Cheney, shits like that. They did a lot of good work in the realm of paleobotany, at least on the West Coast. So anyway, this could even be a species of Metasequoia. I got to find more of these these exposures. I found these in the stream, meaning they washed down from somewhere up there. And hopefully dig around, fuck around through there. You could find maybe a leaf impression, or if I'm lucky, a cone. Give me a solid banger identification of what the shit species of lag is coming out of these hillsides right here. Metasequoia occidentalis is an extinct species of redwood. It's a deciduous redwood. The genus Metasequoia is extant today. That means it's still alive and kicking. You know, it was thought to be extinct, and then 5,000 trees were found growing in a valley in China. Prior to that, it was only known from leaf fossils found about 200 miles north of here by, again, Ralph Cheney. So then somebody sent him an actual leaf, an herbarium pressing. He said, oh my God, what the shit is this? Looks just like, you know, from the leaf structure, opposite leaves, opposite needles, I guess they would technically be. It just looks just like the Don Redwood I've been seeing, the Metasequoia I've been seeing in these fossils. I got to go check it out. He went there, boom, it was true. It was a new species. He found the last enclave, the last little refuge of Metasequoia glyptostroboides, same genus, different species, that was alive in the world today. And now that plant is grown all over the goddamn, they got it in gardens and shit. It's a redwood tree that'll grow in Chicago. Really cool plant. I went nuts over them when I was first getting into all this silly shit. You know, about 12 years ago, I probably grew 300 or 400 of those things, you know, and I would push them off on people. Hey, take this tree, plant it in your yard. I planted a few illegally. I planted them all over the place. Some of those trees are 30 feet tall now. Everything in the redwood family tends to grow really fast because it grows in unstable areas of unstable soil or floodplains, you know, prone to disturbance. So it's got to get up above that water level and up above that landslide level pretty fast. So they're fast-growing trees. Anyway, that's the story of Metasequoia. Let's see what's up here. I got a feeling this might be a Metasequoia. We'll see if I have any luck finding a goddamn leaf impression or a cone or something. There you go. There's another nice stump just sticking out the ground, you know, buried beneath about, I don't know, 100 meters, 200 meters of volcanic rocks, mostly ash. And you can see, look at this. I mean, this is, this is crazy. This is like, you know, it's still fibrous. It's only partially lithified. Looks like just silica fibers. And some over here has been more firmly permineralized. Almost looks like opal. But you could tell it was a big goddamn tree. And you got to think how long ago must it have been for the climate to be amenable to growing redwoods? You know, 10 million, 12 million years? How long? How old is it? And here's more of that. This is more the reason I think it's Cupressaceae. Look at that fiber. Just knowing the wood of the redwood family. I mean, look at this. This is stuff that hasn't even fully permineralized yet. I mean, it's still... I wonder if that's actually carbon still, or if it's been turned to silica or what. But you can see all those fibers in there. Jesus Christ. You know, look at extant redwoods today and compare their shaggy bark and their wood structure. Very soft wood. I mean, it's not ideal for lumber, you know, especially some of the Sequoiadendrons. It's shit wood for lumber. So I don't know. Yeah, my money's on this this species being Cupressaceae for sure, possibly a Metasequoia or a extinct Sequoiadendron. Anyway, so this would be the spot to look for cones, leaves, things like that. Maybe get a clue as to what species we're looking at here. Here's some little things. You can see there's this is basically just all volcanic ash that's been welded together. And you can see there's little bits of material there. This is not quite distinct, but that could be a cone. And it actually does have the form and size of a Metasequoia cone. You know, a lot of this stuff is just too hard to really make out yet, though. So, But, you know, you can see even right there embedded in there, there's little bits of organic material and what the shit. So, I don't know. We'll see. Check it out for a minute, see if I can get anything. I just want to figure out what species I'm looking at. This whole hillside is just an ash flow, as you can see. And here's a little, been trying to work on this. It's a little twig sticking out. But again, what I really need is a cone. I need a cone or a leaf impression to figure out what the shit I'm looking at. But, Jesus Christ. I wonder how deep in that goes. Okay, there you go. You can see all kinds of material just embedded in this volcanic ash, in this welded tuff. You can also see how incredibly unstable it is. That whole block could just fall off any minute, so I should probably get down from here. But, you know, a lot of this stuff is just indecipherable. It's just been, it has not weathered the last 10 million years very well. Oh, what's that? There we go. So beneath all the mud and all the bullshit up there, just basically, you know, slowly eroding badlands, volcanic mud, you come to an exposure like this that's, I mean, this is where you could get a possible diagnostic fossil from, you know. It's basically more of that welded tuff, but it's formed in such a way, it's been compressed and it's compressed. There's all kinds of, it's compressed any living material that was there at the time that it was laid down. You know, I'm seeing all little bits of stems and everything. Nothing fully diagnostic though. No full leaves or anything yet, but I've only been here for a few minutes. There's a nice opal deposit right there. Oh, Jesus. I'm dying to figure this out, man. But see, you get these little plates. You just got to crack them on the bedding plane, you know, horizontally, and hope you come up on something good, either a stem or a cone. So this layer right here looks pretty good. It's a light colored rock. Who knows what was going on? Who knows what kind of depositional environment that stuff occurred in? But most of the fossils I've been finding are just little stems, and, you know, again, nothing very decipherable. But, you know, I'll be here till I'm about to pass out, because I got to find out. What I'm expecting to see is a typical Metasequoia leaf fossil, or some sort of, you know, world Cupressaceae foliage. You know, the scales they got, you know, like a juniper or a redwood, Sequoiadendron, you know. So, you know, a lot of people come out here. I'm not a rock hound. I hate that word. It makes me kind of want to gag and throw up in my mouth a little bit. A lot of people come out here because they just want the shiny shit. You know, I just want to get some context. You know, I want some context for life here on Earth. You know, I don't need a fucking souvenir to take home. What's that? A little bit of stuff in there. See that? Hey, it looks pretty good. We'll see what we find. Holy shit, it's getting pretty hot out. Anyway, here's a nice exposure. See that? Buried beneath all that volcanic mud, I saw chunks of rocks sticking out that look like they might be the kind of rocks that break along a horizontal bedding plane, which they do. And so I was able to find, there's another piece of petrified wood. I was able to find the, you know, the fossils are mostly indecipherable, but there is bits of organic material in there, you can see. Little bits of carbon and what the shit. Just little stems, and so who knows? Maybe this was the bottom of some sort of estuary or river or something. I don't know. Because it looks like most of the shit in there was pretty decomposed at the time it was buried. But, you know, that's basically what you're looking for. You'll have to cut, I'll have to scrape away some of this mud and shit that's eroding from up top. And there's a nice exposure there. And you just keep doing that until you find something, you know? And if you're not seeing any fossils at all, not even little bits of material, you know, carbon, etc., that's, you know, no matter how indecipherable, it's at least that points you in the right direction. If you're not finding any of that, you know, you got to move on, move up the little arroyo there to the next outcropping. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say that this is Metasequoia. It holy shit, or some sort of again Cupressaceae cypress redwood family. That trunk is heavily buttressed. You can see it's just breaking apart, just decomposing, gradually decomposing. There was a large tree. This must be god damn, at least 10 to 12 million years old, you know. For the climate to be I mean, it's arid and hot as hell in the summer and cold as hell in the winter. It must have been a lot different for something like this to grow. So it's got to be older than 6 million years. I believe the climate's been like this in this region for the last 6 million years at least. God damn. So anyway, redwoods used to be a lot more ubiquitous across North America than they are now. You know, now you just have two species in North America, one confined to the coast and the other confined to, I don't know, a handful, maybe a couple, 3-4 dozen populations in the Sierra Nevada mountain range and the west slope of the Sierra Nevadas. But they used to be, I mean, there's Metasequoia fossils from Tennessee, from North Dakota, the big locality forms up there by John Day fossil beds in Oregon. They got a nice national park or monument or whatever you call it up there. You should go check it out if you get a chance. A lot of cool mammalian fossils. It was similar to this. Volcanic sediments rained down, you know, buried a lot of the shit, and then it was capped just like that up there with a layer of basalt, and then the John Day River eventually cut through the basalt and then cut through the exposures and you know, exposed a lot of the extinct flora and fauna, you know. And that's I think John Day is roughly dated Eocene, which is about 50 million years ago, to Oligocene, 30 million years ago, and maybe there's even a little bit of the Miocene too, which is younger than that. But you can tell this is fucking old though. I mean, think about how different the climate must have been for something that grows this large. You know, that's a notorious riparian tree. It needs a lot of moisture in the ground to grow here. You know, and you look at the surrounding area and it's just dry as a bone, you know, freezing in the winter and hot as balls in the summer. I don't know, pretty fascinating. Didn't find a cone, was hoping to. It could give me a better diagnosis what species I'm looking at. It's obviously a cuprossoid or even possibly taxodioid. The taxodioid subfamily of the cypress family. The taxodioid subfamily used to be Taxodiaceae. That was, you know, comprised of, you know, everything from Anthrotaxis down there in Australia and Tasmania to the bald cypress in Louisiana to the Sequoia sempervirens, the coast redwoods, and then it all just got merged into Cuprossaceae. But it's an old lineage, you know. It evolved in a Jurassic, and you know, they were, like I said, they were common. They were doing their thing in North America for a while. You know, and then they just, most of them went extinct. And so today we just have Sequoia sempervirens on the coast, and then Sequoiadendron giganteum down there in, you know, Kings Canyon National Park on the west slope of the Sierra Nevada and with the shit. And then, of course, Metasequoia glyptostroboides in China, you know. There's far more Metasequoia glyptostroboides in cultivation than there are growing wild. I think there's only like 5,000 trees in the wild. You know, but you could see them in like a suburban front yard in, you know, the suburbs of Chicago or, you know, New York or something. Oh yeah, this guy was, he lived to be kind of old. Look at it, how many rings you got? Got to be 200 rings at least. That I can, you know, that you could see, and then you got to figure this guy's been exposed and eroding for however many tens of thousands of years. So he's lost a lot too. It's probably a lot bigger. This was an old bastard. This was an old bulky bastard. Gives you some context for your own meager human life, huh? Gotta be honest with you, that's what I like about studying this shit the most. Puts everything in context. Gets human beings to just shut the fuck up and realize they're not as big as they would like to think they are. Much smaller part of the puzzle than they initially gather. take us down a notch, you know? Get rid of that fucking annoying hubris. Alright. Yeah, so here's a nice exposure. Work this for a little bit. There's a little, you know, actually it's a relatively large stump just poking out the side of this canyon wall right there. But found a little something, you know, but it's hard to decipher what a lot of this shit is. Looks like some kind of strap-shaped reed of some kind. I don't know if you can see that even, if it comes out. Or it could just be compressed wood tissue. But it does seem like it's got some vasculature, doesn't it? Looks like a monocot of some kind, huh? Anyway, I'll take a picture of it, and I'll send it to the university, ask them what they think. And if they want it, they can have it. They probably don't. But, you know, I mostly just want to get a context of what's going on. What was going on here 10 million years ago. You know, I don't care about having a shiny rock to put on my mantle to just collect dust. It's some stupid shit. I want to just, you know, figure out the... Just get a greater context of geologic time. Fuck the trinkets. Anyway, that's all I got. Go fuck yourself, bye.